All right, everyone. So this is to walk you through your final essay. This is a literary analysis essay here. And you guys have read a really interesting story called In a Grove. And it's a unique story because it deals with some fairly advanced concepts, but also because it's an unreliable narrator, so we don't know the truth of the story. So we have 7 different perspectives from 7 different characters. And so we've been trying to figure out as we read, using character and motivation and all these other literary elements, exactly who is telling the truth. Um, and that may not even be the main point of the story, actually. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be, in a literary analysis essay, you really examine one or more aspects or pieces of the literature. So your prompt for this one is really simple. You're going to create an argument about something within In a Grove. You're going to choose either a character, a theme, or an approach. So you guys have done different approaches, different theories in the PowerPoint and the lecture that you read and saw. So you can choose one of those, you can choose a theme, or you can choose a character to examine. So there's nothing required for this other than the final draft of your essay. So you have plenty of time to work on this and make it really, really good. So if you choose character, I've given you guys some sort of helpful information to think about as you're writing. So if you choose to do a character, when you're discussing character, look at behaviors and the motivations and analyze those behaviors and motivations using evidence from the text. So, for example, what are the main characteristics of that character? How do you know this? What do those characteristics convey about the person? Are they sneaky? Are they subtle? Are they timid? Are they shy? What does that mean? What are they hiding? So do any of these characteristics conflict with one another? And you don't have to look at just that one person's narrative. You can look at how the narratives interact with each other as well. You can also think about, is the character trustworthy? So how do you know that they're telling the truth or they're not telling the truth? What indicates this to you? Then you're going to give me evidence from the text that supports that idea. Why might they be lying? What do they have to gain or to lose by lying? And then what is the background of the character? Look at how they interact with each other. How do their cultural, their gender, their wealth status, all of these elements sort of indicate particular things about the character. If you choose theme, think about how the theme is the moral or the lesson of the story. That's really hard in this one. Theme, I'm going to give you guys some examples down here, but it can be really a dual theme as well. So what is the reader supposed to get from that story? What evidence do you have to support your idea about what this theme is, what this lesson or moral is? If you choose approach, if you choose, say, critical theory or gender theory or historical theory or new criticism, think about how you read the story. How does particular elements of the story, like dialogue or description or setting, impact your understanding of the story? I had a student once write about sort of the historical narrative perspective of samurai culture and how that impacted the narrative. That could be one way. You could do gendered examination as well. So there's lots of different ways you could do this. Now, make sure that when you are doing this, you have a full essay format, so an introduction with a thesis statement, full body paragraphs with lots of good evidence from the text. So here you're pulling quotes from the text. That's really important. Pull specific quotes to show me what you're talking about. If you're going to tell me that a certain character is trustworthy, give me evidence to support that. What do they say that shows me that they're trustworthy? And then tell me why that evidence explains why they're trustworthy. So in your thesis, you'll want to identify either character, theme, or approach. So you'll say, the theme of X, Y, or Z, or as the theme of, for example, truth versus perception is very important in a Grove because, and then you give me the reasons, the main ideas that you'll be talking about. If you do for character, you'll say, the character of X has these characteristics, and here's why it's important in a Grove. This is what it does. If you choose to do an approach, you say, in a feminist reading of the story, we can see that the character does X, Y, and Z. Or culture reading or psychological reading, whatever you want to do. I had another student do a very interesting psychological reading of one of the characters in the story. All of these are great approaches. So you want to identify your approach and your argument in your thesis statement. So I've given you some example topics here. If you're doing a character analysis, look at the portrait of the character. Paint the picture of that character first and really dive in and explore that character in lots of good detail. You don't want to recount or summarize what the story says. You don't want to say, we meet this character, then we meet this character, then we meet this character, and then they do this. That's simply summarizing. That's not analysis. Analysis says, I'm going to look at this one character, and I'm going to explore all the different sides and parts of that character. Look at motivation, behavior, look at all of these different things and give me lots of good evidence in the form of quotes from the story that supports your claim. And I don't mean quotes just as in dialogue, I mean just pull out quotes from the story. Themes. If you look at themes, you could look at things like truth versus perception. What is truth versus how do we perceive what truth is? Honor or virtue or both. The idea of love. What is love? How is it portrayed in the story? The ideas of tradition versus rebellion. You could break these up. You could do different ones. It's up to you. Approaches, again, you could do a feminist reading. You could do a cultural reading. You could do a psychological one. You could do a new critical reading of the story about particular symbolism. It's up to you. Choose wisely. These are really fun if you do them right. They can be really fascinating kind of character studies or thematic studies or discussions of particular readings and ways of looking at the story. So again, think about what you want to do, what you want to talk about with the literature. If you find something intriguing or interesting, if you really like the dark character, explore that. What do you want to say about them? If you really like the heroine or the female character, what do you want to say about gender roles? What do you want to say about her role in society? All these different things are kind of ideas that you can jump off of. Again, all parts of an argument. I've given you an outline. Actually, I haven't given you an outline. I'm sorry, I don't know why it says that. You do not need an outline. I apologize. I'm going to take that away right now. But the general requirements is that you have to have the essay with all the parts. Make sure you have a good thesis, a good intro, a nice hook. Pretend that your reader has not read the story. Explain it to them in a way that makes sense, as if they haven't read the story. 3 reasons with solid evidence to support your claims. And it's always good to have opposing views. So you can say, some people might read this character as blank. However, here's how you should read the character. And you'll do your rebuttal as well. Your final essay needs to have just the final essay submitted. You don't need anything else. Make sure you do it in a Word doc as usual. Make sure that you have a clean copy. You don't need to put a bibliography because I know what story you're looking at. And then your essay is going to be 3 to 4 pages in length as usual, so all the way down to the bottom of the 3rd page. And it's due by Sunday, December 3rd, right before the start of your finals week. So if you have questions about this, let me know. Otherwise, I think you guys will do really well. Hopefully you can really dive in and enjoy a particular aspect of the story.